which horses are we?
You're obviously a giant Clydesdale.
I'm a Clydesdale.
Are
Yeah,
there
Shannon
100%.
is like an
Yeah.
Arabian horse.
Shannon's an Arabian. Yeah, there's tons of. Did you just think
Ooh.
there was just one kind of horse?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny, and these are the other ones.
An Arabian horse and a Clydesdale.
Yeah.
Danny's, you know the horses the Mongolians ride?
No.
Mongolian? Oh, dude, you're a Mongolian
Oh,
horse for
thank
sure.
you.
Ooh.
I think I'm one of those
Oh,
little
I do
horses.
know that one.
I'm one of those little horses. People are like,
Short and
people are
stocky.
like, that's a pony. And I'm like, I'm not a pony. I'm a mini horse.
Look at these guys. This is
Oh,
Guys,
I don't know that that's a
I don't know.
compliment.
Most people listen, so showing pictures isn't really a good thing.
look
for
up
the-
Yeah, but
Mongolian
guys, just
horses.
Look up Mongolian horse.
While you're
They know what
listening
to
to
do.
this.
You're making them do work, guys.
I would
What
argue it's
to
interactive
do.
experience.
Homework, the podcast. Hey, look up a fact. We don't know it.
We're not going to check either. You find out and
you
text
figure
us.
it out. Well, I don't really have any juice. I just wanted to tell you guys, it is a little weird to sit with you guys, the common people, horses as you may be, because I recently upgraded my room at the Motel 6. Yes.
Whoa.
I stayed in the Premium Queen.
You stayed
not
in the Preem
Standard
Queen?
Queen.
You stayed in the Preem Queen?
The Preem Queen. And the only difference that I could perceive was that it seemed slightly more decorated. And there was still a stain on the blanket.
Yeah.
Slightly
Well, you're at
more
Motel 6.
decorated.
Why are you
It
staying at
isn't.
Motel 6 if
Well,
there's no stain on the
in
blanket?
Mammoth, I know
Everything's
we're
so
tired
expensive.
of snowboarding stories, everybody. But yeah, everything's
It's almost
really
over, guys. The season's almost
It's over. This was the last
Oh,
snow trip.
well,
I
you
thought
gotta
they-
get out. Let it out
I
with a
thought they were
bang,
extending
man.
into like July.
Well, no,
I
you
heard.
could still go, but it's like there's
It's
no
trash.
new snow.
Yeah.
Hot.
It's
Well,
hot.
it's like 82 degrees right
Well, it was
now.
cool. It was cool to snowboard without a jacket or anything. I felt pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah, it felt Coloradan, probably.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ski in a bikini. I've seen those
Ooh.
pictures before. It looks fun.
I think you could pull that off.
That's a very Shannon
Like to see
activity.
Jake ski in a bikini.
I don't want to.
Oh.
I just don't want to ski.
Yeah, you can't ski.
I'll do it.
period.
I'll do it eventually. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Well, then you can sit in a lodge with a bikini.
Oh, I do that.
That's interesting.
I do that all day.
There's
Free
I like-
drinks, hell yeah.
They got like lots of
Bro.
lounge chairs too. I like they put them out there by the
All
fire
out,
and
baby.
stuff. I could see Jake
Splayed.
killing it.
We are heading into this is just about my favorite time of year now. The
Spring?
next 4 months.
Summer. You're a summer boy.
Mid-spring to late summer. Woohoo! Jakey Tuesday season, baby.
Here we go.
I live on a different level of
Your
relaxation.
birthday's
these
coming
next
up too.
May 16th?
Are you older than me or younger than me?
I think I'm a little younger, yeah, because I
32?
turned 33 on
Oh, you
May
turned
16th.
33? Oh,
Yeah.
to be young again.
Oh, so be that
But
young.
it's my lucky number. 33's always been my lucky number.
Oh.
And
that's fun.
I found out just, some of the nerds out there might be ahead of me on this. 33 is the year where hobbits in Tolkien's works are recognized as adults in their community. And
Oh
because
my God.
because they
Quite
age,
old.
well, they live to be like 200, 300.
right.
So 33 is
13.
the age. And
18.
I did all this without even realizing my birthday party is going to be at a tavern with a horse icon on it that is almost
Yes.
identical to the Prancing Pony, where famously the adventure of Lord of the Rings really gets
Okay.
into full gear.
This started off relatable, but now you lost.
Oh.
it.
There's probably at
We're
least
deep- we're
100
getting deep
people
into
in our
the lore.
listener base who are just like, he's going to talk about that's the Hobbit birthday. He's going to talk
Well,
about
I
it.
like that 33 is a Hobbit's birthday. That's funny to
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's the Jesus birthday too.
I thought Jesus died when he was like 30.
Yeah. It's your Jesus birthday.
Hear that,
is what
Jesus?
they call it.
I fucking beat you, dog. Fucking beat you.
Well, he
You went
came
down
back.
like a chump.
He came back.
For like
Don't
9
celebrate
days. For like
Jesus.
40
Couple
days.
more days.
What?
For like 40 days he came
died
back.
for 3 days and then came back forever.
No, he came back
I think
for...
you're confused about the lore.
No,
I
he's...
don't remember.
Look, okay,
Guys,
yeah,
he
he's...
died and then he came back.
Yeah, but
and
then
now
he died
is.
again. didn't
No,
he?
he didn't
No,
die again.
actually-
What the fuck are you talking about?
No, but don't they say he's coming back?
Christ
so-
has died. Christ is risen.
Risen.
Christ
Christ
will
will
come
come
again.
again.
To Earth. He'll come back to
Check
Earth.
out the Bible verse
He died.
where Jesus deuces out because they just write it like they floated up into the sky. They just
Yeah,
went
he
away.
ascended into heaven.
But I'm not calling that like, oh no,
Oh.
you were bad. Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah,
is that he came back and went to heaven.
He
He
rose
came-
from the dead and then he rose into heaven.
It might have
But
not
didn't
been
he
40
just go
days.
to heaven after
No,
he
when-
died?
No, actually,
when he died.
let's get into the lore. When Jesus died, he, by Catholic canon,
I think went to
went
hell,
down
right?
to
Yeah,
hell
he went to
and
hell.
checked out what was going on in hell and was just like, hey, everybody, don't worry, I'll be back. And he
And-
yeeted back up to his body, moved the big boulder, and then just kind of guilt tripped his friends for like 40 days. He kept like challenging everybody on like, and he's a real dick about it in them too, of like, he makes Peter put his finger in his wound holes, in his crucifix holes. That's how he proves to Peter.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, it's in there.
I don't remember any of
I
this
don't know what
stuff.
Bible you were on.
I was reading the Bible that is the Bible.
Crucifix holes?
He had crucifix holes and he makes Peter stick his fingers into them.
Shannon is completely disengaged right now. Shannon's like, he died twice in my Bible.
It's fine.
That would have been incredible if Jesus did come back from the dead. 40 days of just kind of like victory lapping on everybody.
Yeah.
Like, look at all you dumb fucks now. And then just has a heart attack 40 days after. Is like, now I'm out for real. I'm not coming back. Bye.
Yeah, the second death.
Yeah, I'm confused about the timeline.
It's
y'all.
okay. We're clearly
So's the
not
Catholic
biblical
Church.
scholars. Jake has latched on to 40 days. I'm pretty sure that's a different thing.
I know he was
Wasn't
in the
40
desert.
Days
That's
the-
40
no, that's
days.
Moses.
No, 40 days. Well,
They
oh,
wandered
you're
in the
right.
desert.
Anyway,
No, Jesus wandered in the desert with the devil for 40 days.
I'm confirmed, bro. I'm confirmed. Don't even come at me. I was an altar server, bro. I rang bells.
I didn't stop believing in any of this until I was like 20.
A lot of people start doubting religion when they're half a hobbit.
That's about the time it happens.
Shannon, you were in some sort of VR game. This is interesting. You were involved in a VR game. What's going on?
So I went down to San Diego and I was seeing my boyfriend Max's family.
Ooh.
His aunt and his other aunt have two
Two
kids.
aunts.
Yeah, they're a couple. So they have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I love them and I'm very close with them. So I went down and it was one of their birthdays and they got an Oculus
Ooh.
VR meta thingy. And I've never done it before. And so the 10-year-old and I were playing one of the VR games.
Yeah.
And we were playing Gorilla Tag.
Have you
And,
seen this? Have you heard about this?
No.
Wild time.
Wow.
and for those of you out there that don't know, because I certainly didn't, it's just like you are a gorilla and you can just
Ooh.
like play around in this like playground.
Okay.
And when I thought I was going to be like all of a sudden like a giant gorilla was going to come and like chase me or something, because I always think of video games as like you're trying to fight something. But this one you can literally just play. And so other people are logged in
Okay.
and you would join a room and then you're playing with a bunch of other like
Gorillas.
people playing like all
Yeah.
over the world.
And they're all gorillas.
gorillas.
Okay.
We're all different
They
colors.
are almost all children.
Different
Yeah,
colored
so
gorillas.
they're all
So
children.
these aren't realistic gorillas. There's like a red gorilla. and a
Yeah,
blue
we're
gorilla.
like cartoonish.
Do you remember that, like on Windows 95, that gorilla who would like you type in a word and the gorilla says the word? Do you remember what I'm talking
No,
about?
I
here?
remember the paperclip. I got nothing. on
It's a
gorilla.
compatriot of the paperclip,
What
but they
Microsoft
kind of look
Word?
like that. It was an online app that
What-
you could download or
What
something.
Excel were you in? So you were a gorilla.
So, the cousin Abel, who's 10, we couldn't log into the same room.
Abel. This
His
is
name's
really
Abel.
a biblical episode.
Yes, it
That's
is.
that's a high risk name to
Yeah,
give a
right.
kid. That's a lot of
Isn't
pressure.
Abel the one who
yeah.
killed Cain?
No, other way
No,
around.
Cain killed Abel?
Abel's the first murder victim.
Ah!
And so we couldn't get into the same game. And
Ugh.
suddenly I ended up in a game with a bunch of other gorillas. And all of a sudden, and I've never played this game before. I have no idea what's going on. And they all coming up and they bombard me and they're like, hi, 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 hi. And you can
Ugh.
hear them talking to you.
Oh, God.
And I'm also trying to talk to Abel and like be like, hey, can you like get into this room too? Like dial in this code or whatever. And so I'm like totally overwhelmed, but they all come and Barbie. They're like, hi, I'm 7. How old are you? And I was like, 33. And they're like, you're 33. And I was like, yeah, like, but I have a 10-year-old here with me. I'm not like
I'm certified.
just
I'm
some
certified.
pervert. And then like all of them like came and bombarded me, and then like the the like word got out that like a 33-year-old was in there,
Oh,
and then
no.
the rest of the gorillas come over and like, "Are you really 33? You're 33."
Now, was this one of the, because I played VR was a big distraction for me through a good chunk of lockdown. I love VR gaming. I think it's a very exciting future
It's
of the
really
industry.
cool. It's
but
fun.
it is definitely something where, I made the joke about everybody on it being kids. That's not entirely true, but it is very kid dominated.
Oh, they were all
the kids
kids.
have locked on to
Yeah,
VR. It
kids
is the
like
future.
it.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
But was this one of those games where because you're walking and moving around, was your height translated in? Was your gorilla tall? No. Okay. So I have particularly when some of my friends and I were messing around with the possibility of like D&D in VR, which is a whole story. But that game that we use for that, your height is translated. So when we would go into the lobbies of this to try to get to the stuff we were working on, I am towering over all of these other avatars, and people are just, wow, are you like up on a chair or so? How are you so tall? And then me like, because I'm a grown up. And it was that same reaction of just like, wow, golly gee willikers, look at the size of this guy. Like just a bunch of little fucking Dannies running around pointing at me.
Leave me alone.
And then this one little kid was, because they were all little kids, and then this one little kid started saying a curse word, and I was like, "Hey, who said that?"
Mom mode. Wait, Shannon, are you the oldest one, or are you younger than me? When's your birthday?
I'm in between you guys. On March.
I'm the old one.
Yeah, you are.
Rats.
The
We're
future
90
is now.
babies. You're 89.
Oh God,
Yeah.
you kids.
But the thing with the VR is, it's kind of like that feeling when you get off of a boat and you're still kind of rocking.
Yeah.
It's not rocking, but it still gives you that same like everything. Your like equilibrium is off.
It hits.
I felt like I was tripping on shrooms when I got done.
It hits people differently. I had during lockdown, one of my housemates, just motion sickness just made it impossible for him. He couldn't enjoy it at all. My other housemate kind of got a little bit of motion sickness, but nothing too bad. The only thing I would feel would be my eyes would kind of be sore coming out of it. But my biggest issue with VR now is that fucking Zuckerberg and Meta have just kind of they've made it now that you need a Meta profile in order to use the hardware for the Oculus, which I'm just not doing. I just now I have a big chunk of plastic in my closet that I can't use, but I'm just like, I'm not signing up for fucking Facebook again.
F you, Zucks.
So it's a bummer, but it is so cool. If you have a chance to try it out, give it a shot. There's a lot of fucking really fun games
we
out
gotta
there
shoot
for
the
it.
pod in VR, and people could
Whoa.
see how tall Jake is.
We,
I don't know why.
behold, 'tis I.
We got a great little app for you guys. We're gonna do a couple little submissions to open us up. AITA for kicking out my husband's roommate. OP's husband, best friend, got kicked out of his house. He's living with them in their small 1-bed, 1-bath, 650 square feet. OP then found out that Sam didn't get kicked out, but actually left willingly after a fight with his sister. After 1 week of him living there, OP demanded Sam leave because the space was just too small. So Sam moved back in with his family. OP's husband was understanding, but OP feels like Sam is upset with her, AITA.
I mean, I think it was very kind of you to offer to let him stay there until he got his feet on the ground, but 650 square feet apartment is pretty small.
That's pretty small, right? How
not
big
a
is my
lot.
apartment?
I don't know.
feel like it's
Probably
more,
You have a
right?
pretty big
Yeah.
apartment.
I
pretty
lived
big,
in
yeah.
a 550 square feet, which was quite tiny.
Yeah.
Like Max originally moved in there when we weren't together, and then I moved in, and it was not made for two people.
Yeah, that's snug. Yeah, OP, you didn't do anything wrong. You just asserted a boundary,
I
and
don't-
it's your living space.
Yeah, I don't think anything really happened here.
No.
You tried to be kind, you tried to make something work, and it didn't work.
And I can also understand your frustration of you after the fact, you kind of got misled because after the fact, you're like, oh, you didn't get kicked out. You willingly left because you got into a fight.
Yeah.
So I couldn't understand feeling like, well, wait a minute. I was okay with you staying here when I thought you had no other option. But now you're just kind of being like, you could just go make up with your sister.
Yeah, and even if that wasn't the case, it's your home.
Yeah.
You've got a right to protect your space. I think this is a no-brainer.
One of the kindest things you can do for somebody is giving them a landing pad like this in your area.
Absolutely.
And look, it can be the kindest person on the planet. I've been in similar situations to this. It is wild how quickly that patience fuse burns down
In a tight space, dude.
Yeah.
Forget about
But I
it.
do kind of understand, like, Sam, like, I couldn't understand being like a little bit upset because it's like, well, hey, like, you told me I could live here until I got on my feet, and then just 1 week later you're already kicking me out.
I mean, think about how much that would cost to go to a hotel or something. I feel like 1 week from a friend is already pretty generous.
Well, I do too. It's just now he thought he was gonna like have a
Well,
spot.
and he's bound to, get upset, but you got to leave space for people to get upset. He's going to be upset. That was his sitch, but like, you have every right. You didn't do anything wrong.
They're also
I don't think so either.
They're also being really realistic about how long it's going to take for Sam to get back into the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be, I just needed 2 weeks to turn shit around. Like, you're going to have to buckle down a bit here, bud.
Actually, I think she did originally say that when she was writing out the post, that it was like this, it wouldn't be anytime soon.
Yeah, forget it. AITA for kicking out my husband's roommate. I might actually say soft NTA because he seemed to misrepresent what happened.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
All right, here is another submish. AITA for not speaking to my mom for 4 months after she kicked me out for leaving her house not up to her standards. I, 22F, have been living with my boyfriend, 21M, since I turned 18. My relationship with mom has always been strained. When I started dating my boyfriend, she didn't like his parents, which eventually made her resent me as I spent all my time there. There was a situation one Christmas where things got kind of physical, and after that, I kept my head down. On my 18th birthday, I left her a note and left the house at 3 a.m. to move in with my boyfriend without telling her. At the time, I felt like I had no choice. Eventually, things got a little bit better with some distance, and we would talk and see each other here and there. This past year, my boyfriend and I decided to build a house, but needed to stay in her basement for 1 month as our apartment lease already ended and we couldn't stay with his parents. Well, 1 month in, her unfinished basement turned into 6. She would be gone for 2 months over the summer and said we could move our stuff upstairs until she gets back. We moved her couch to the other side of the living room and a table to put her TV on. Before she got back, we did a deep clean and moved everything back. She didn't leave any rules. She said only respect the house. Well, it wasn't good enough. She came back and was looking for things that were off. She started cussing me out that morning over text and sent me over 20 messages about what was wrong with the house, including that I didn't vacuum her dust and that I broke her towel hanger and her couch was off a few inches. She told me I had to be home that afternoon to talk or there'd be consequences. Well, the talk didn't go great. She said she was sorry only for letting us stay with her. She kept asking me to apologize for how I left her house, but I told her I wouldn't until she apologized for what she said, which led to her telling us we had to move out within 2 weeks. We've been trying, but can't find an affordable place. We got lucky, though, and eventually did. For the last 2 weeks we were with her, she ignored me. A month after we moved out, she reached out and tried to just ignore what happened. I didn't respond. I've been ignoring her until last week, which was her birthday. We met up for coffee and talked things through. We're both going to try and make things work, but still, she feels so disrespected because her house wasn't up to her standards. I realized I didn't handle things the best, but I felt like I was ready to fully cut her off, but it would cause a lot of drama. I've been in no contact with my dad since I was 16 and really don't have anyone else as my boyfriend's parents divorced, and we don't speak to his mom now. AITA.
Well, there's quite a lot of no speaking to the parents situation going on here.
Based on the mom's behavior, these people sound pretty impossible. I mean, to complain about the couch being a couple inches off, I'm just like, what kind of laundry list of nightmare control things?
And that's where I think that maybe that's being brought about by having somebody in your space, and so every little thing you're registering and noticing, and you're not attributing your frustration to the right things, where you're blowing all these little things out of proportion. You're not upset about that. You're upset that they're there. That's what they're actually upset about, is that this is happening at all. So they're finding all these little microaggressions to throw all their issues at, when in reality, it's just the fact that it's happening in any way that they have the issue with.
I think you're on the trail, but I'm seeing it slightly different.
Okay.
To me, there's a big tell here. All the stuff was apparently wrong, right? The couch was off, something was broken, whatever. But what did mom want to do? She didn't want the problem solved. She wanted to talk. So this is actually about something different, right? Because if I stayed at your house and you're like, yo, dude, you didn't clean, you didn't do what you said you'd do, get the fuck over here and fix what the agreement was to leave my house in its place, right? But you wouldn't say, we need to have a serious talk. It's like, what? No, I don't need to have a serious talk. You need to agree. You need to do what you agreed to do.
I
think what this mom really is all about is control and she can sense that she's kind of losing it, and it's kind of like any aspect of that is threatened is very like painful for her, and I think that's my read.
Yeah, and just the like, well, I'm sorry that I let you stayed in the house.
I don't even know that's just so fucked up.
So manipulative and just
Yeah.
like victim-y and just
Mean.
not taking any kind of accountability for your actions at all.
Yeah, I mean, to cite our breakup thing here, this is kind of a form of breakup. You're allowed to break up with anyone for any reason. Doesn't really sound like, I think, OP, you're in a tough situation. You're young. Resources aren't abundant. Your mom provided you a place to stay. I really hope you guys are able to build your house and start building your own life. You don't owe your parents anything. That's a belief of mine. If your family's toxic, you're free to move on. And I also am concerned that it just sounds like the way your mom operates, at least the way you're describing it, sounds like she's kind of manipulative and will make you feel like the bad guy. That's kind of her.
I'm going to ding one thing here. 1 month turning into 6. That is massive.
Yeah,
Ooh,
source.
that supports your point a lot
Yeah,
stronger than
no,
this
man.
is like.
I think that like you have a certain amount of patience, even for your own child, of like you come back into the house, like, yeah, you're young, but you are an adult.
You're an adult.
And you said it would be a month, and now it's half a year.
That's a big
yeah.
difference.
They're gonna. Be, I'm not quite on the same page with you guys of really coming after mom here. I think that she's handling it poorly, but I think that she is on her last nerve of this being like she wanted them to be gone by the time she got back. That's where
So she should have communicated that then.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
And also, she shouldn't have let them move upstairs. If she was really concerned with them being in her space, she should have just been like, "Okay, I'm going for 2 months, but see ya."
she
Guess you'll still be in
handled
the
it
basement.
terribly, but I am so confident that she passive aggressively was in her mind. She's like, they'll be out by the time I get back. They have to be out by the time I get back.
Yeah, I mean, the other things against mom sent 20 messages. That's erratic.
That's
behavior.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Also this thing of, they moved out for a month and then mom reached out and just tried to ignore what happened. That's kind of a classic sign, right? It's like you're just going to try to sweep that thing
And
under
it's
the
almost
rug.
like she wanted them to mess up to then be like, actually, I don't even want you here anyway. Like, look how you're treating my stuff. Instead of being like, hey, yeah, you can move upstairs, but like, please make sure you don't move anything. Make sure XYZ. Like, if you're really that particular about your stuff, you think that you would like lay some rules out for them. Instead, it was like she almost was setting them up to do something wrong. So then she'd have a reason to kick them out because she was over them being there.
Yeah. Look, OP, I think this is a very tough situation. I just hope that you can get into a position where your resources are abundant enough that you can either have a relationship with your mom that is less strained, I think on the most optimistic side. On the more negative side, it sounds like your mom might be a little bit toxic, might be a little bit of a mess herself coming for you, or at least be really weird about communication. I mean, sending 20 plus messages is just like, that's really wild to me. That doesn't sound like a level-headed individual.
I would like to know how many of them were memes. How many of them were
I
just
have-
unrelated
It's
memes?
-5.
Because hey, look, if there's a couple in there that were just like, look at this horse, then maybe.
I could let it go. Hey, ITA, for not speaking to my mom for 4 months after she kicked me out for leaving her house not up to her standards. Part of me wants to say not the asshole, and she is, but staying in someone's house for 6 months when you said one.
Yeah,
just
but I'm sure they
can't get-
asked that.
Yeah. I could maybe go soft NTA. I don't know. I don't want to start pulling out the like block your mom forever card because only you can make a choice like that, OP. But
This sounds harsh, OP, but I want you to hear what I'm saying. I'm limiting this specifically to the circumstances. I am going soft ESH, specifically because 1 month becoming 6, that if your mom's not willing to talk with you about this, she's not willing to have an open communication, that changes this ruling for me. I'm stuck between soft ESH because the 1 month turning into 6 months, unless you gave her constant updates of like, hey, look, we're trying to make this happen. And that's an info situation. You very well may have done that. So if that is the case, that you were communicating, hey, this is where we're at, and you're keeping her in the loop on things, NTA. But if you just kind of set up shop and 1 month became 2, became 4, became 6, there was some group work that needed to be done here.
fair enough. We don't know enough necessarily to say. But thanks for writing in, OP. All right, we're going to do another listener submission here.
AITA for trading paint and doing nothing about it. I drive a gray sedan and live in a small college town. I live on a particularly narrow street, which allows parking on both sides of it, leaving room for 2 lanes in the middle that can fit 2 cars driving opposite directions with about a foot or 2 in between. It's a snug street with little room for error. My driveway has street parking on either side. Typically, I do not have a problem with these parkers, but today was an exception. I left to go to the gym, and there was a small, light-colored car parked next to my driveway. I could tell it was decently past the line and a bit in front of my driveway, about 1.5 feet into the entrance of my driveway, as I tried to slip past it. The back bit of the right side of my car scraped against the back left portion of their car. I drove a bit up the street and got out to check the damage. It was only a paint trade. Their car was a bit more paint traded because they had a lightly colored car. I personally wouldn't get insurance involved if I were them, but I am currently in a financial situation where I am unable to pay out of pocket even if I wanted to. Taking into account the fact that they were parked over the line in front of my driveway, I just drove away. I felt bad about it initially, but given that no major damage occurred and they were over the line, I didn't go back. AITA?
A little bit of a toughie.
I know.
I guess
that's what I thought.
My beautiful car, which I got new.
Is that a Toyota Camry 2021?
Camry hybrid? Get it straight. Embarrassing. You know, I've had to accept, like, it's Los Angeles and your car is just going to get, I mean, I got to do street parking. You know, I don't have my own parking spot. Like, shit just happens. And I just think that's just kind of how LA goes.
That's why you shouldn't get a really nice car here in LA. You need a small, compact hybrid so you can save on gas and you can park anywhere you want.
Yeah, well, I guess the Camry isn't particularly small. I think it's pretty medium. But
sedan.
I've dinged someone before, you know, when I was backing into a spot and I hit the front a little bit. I couldn't see any visible damage.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't? You know, I kind of just feel like it comes to the territory of living in the city.
I think there's a lot of, it really just comes down to what your morality is on this. I don't think that this is not a major sin for sure. I'm with you guys that, like, stuff like that happens, especially if it was on a bumper. It sounds like it was on a bumper.
Well, it was a paint trade, so the bumper
could have. Well, it depends. Some cars have that fiberglass bumper
painted bumper
thing
okay.
going.
Yeah, I don't really know
Almost
how
all.
cars work.
So personally, I honestly don't. I think I would probably leave my contact information.
I don't think you would, Jake. You hesitating? I think if you hesitate.
I think the thing for me is that they were in front of his driveway.
That is a big point.
You
do
could
the
call
crime,
for
you do
a
the
tow,
time.
right? If someone's even
absolutely could.
Somebody told me if you're even slightly, you could get busted.
I mean, he said 1.5 feet for crying out loud.
And it does sound like the parking job actually was responsible for this.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they don't have a backup cam or whatever. We not rear view backing up. I mean,
if it's just a paint trade, there's no dent. Like, if there's no actual structural damage to this vehicle, I can't imagine.
Can you go in and, like, get the paint off,
I
like,
don't know.
with anything?
I know. Well, I mean, when my car got keyed, they had to repaint the whole freaking door, I guess.
Yeah.
Something about sealing or some shit. But
it really does just depend on what the damage was, and if it was just paint exchange. And he was in front of your driveway.
Exactly. I think if they weren't in front of the driveway and they had done nothing wrong, then I would have to say, I would call it, like, understandable asshole, because I think, like, just stuff does happen. But, like,
and we're all trying to survive out here. It's
and it's like, I just don't want to get in a whole paperwork thing. You never know who you're facing. They could be crazy or an asshole.
That's why I hesitated on leaving my number, because you're giving some kind of evil spirit your name. Like, you don't know what kind of power they're going to hold over you now, of just like, there's a dent on the other side of the car and they're like, you did that too.
Exactly.
Oh.
You don't know what you're reckoning with. So I'm
self-preservation.
Playing it as it lays. AITA for trading paint and doing nothing about it. I think it's no assholes here.
Yeah, no assholes.
Chaotic world, things happen, no assholes here.
I had a story happen one time where I left my house a few blocks, and I went to Staples, and then I got out, and I realized like my whole back, like right side bumper was like totally smashed in. And I was just like, what the heck? But then I didn't realize that someone had left a note on my car. And so then I go over and I look at the note, and the note was from my friend, and she didn't know it was my car.
What?
Yeah. And I didn't have her number. Like, we were like more like acquaintances, like we were party friends kind of thing. But she
you
had
don't
put
need to
her
lie
full
to
name.
impress us.
What?
Well, because you lied. You said they were your friend.
And
We
so,
already think you're popular.
Thank you. And so I texted her and I was like, guess who? Guess whose car yet?
That's cute.
And so we did. She was like, oh, would you mind if we just like didn't get insurance involved and I'll just pay you? But it was like $1,000.
What if Shannon just turned on us and she's like, so I sued her for everything she's fucking with.
Shut up.
Sometimes when you start telling stories, Shannon, I in the back of my head try to anticipate where it's going, just because you hit us with some wild curveballs sometimes.
Right.
So that time I was off, where I was just like, is Shannon just gonna drop on us that she just like fucking plowed into somebody's car in a parking lot and drove off once? I was like, I don't think that's what this is. I was wrong, but
You
She's
guys
like-
think I'm so awful.
no, I don't think you're awful. I
She's
just
like,
think you're unpredictable.
I totaled the
Chaotic,
geometric.
Chaotic neutral,
maybe?
yeah.
Shannon's like, I totaled some guy's Geo Metro and I peed on it to mark my territory.
Right in the gas tank.
Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. $5 a month buys you 150 plus bonus episodes. Also, wanted to just do a little self promo here, just because trying to kind of tell you guys about my stand-up tour dates. Holy
Oh
shit.
my God, you guys do not want to miss this.
Thank you, Shannon.
Shredder Vega hits the road.
May 12th and 13th, I'll be in Tampa. I think that will have passed already, so sorry if you didn't hear before.
Tampa, Florida.
Friday, May 26th, Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Carlsbad,
with
New
Will
Mexico.
Hines.
Hilarious comedian.
Will Hines.
Saturday, May 7th, excuse me, Elgin, Arizona. That's also with Will.
Big Elgin, Arizona.
Friday, June 30th, I'll be in Henderson, Nevada with Tori Piskin.
Henderson, Nevada.
Saturday, July 1st, Superior, Arizona. That's also with Tori.
Superior, Arizona.
Wow, Superior got that?
Way superior to Henderson.
He's superior.
Thursday, August 10th, Woodinville, Washington. Friday, August 11th, Salem, Oregon. And yeah, just definitely Instagram me, Danny Vegagram, for more info and deets. Reach out. And I would love to see you guys at these shows. And also, we're very excited about this. Save the date. We're still working out some of the final details, but AITA pod, that's right. Me, Shannon, and Jacques David will be July 14th in Phoenix and July 15th in Tucson.
I despise Phoenix, Arizona. Jack loves Phoenix, Arizona. I find it to be droll.
All right, guys, here is Jake.
AITA for not honoring dibs. I, 33 male, am traveling and had just found my seat on a long flight. 15 hours or so. Yikes. I was in an aisle seat and a stranger about my age approached me. He closed the overhead bin above me. The bin had a few bags in it, but it still had room for one more. He said to me, "Tell people that this one is full, okay?" And I just shrugged. He went back to his seat, which was a few rows ahead of me, and started rummaging around in his carry-on bag to get out his pillow, book, headphones, etc. His row was the first in the economy cabin, so it was in that weird spot by the emergency door and the bathrooms, and didn't have an overhead bin of its own or even a seat in front of it to store a bag. The flight continued to board, and the overhead bins closed one by one. Eventually, the woman who had the aisle seat across from me showed up and started looking for overhead space. Most bins were closed by then, so she decided to start looking inside some. The guy who closed the bin noticed this behavior and was watching her like a hawk, but he couldn't get to his false bin because the line was backed up by this woman. When she started reaching for his false bin, he started yelling, "No, that one is full! It's full!" But the woman ignored him. So he looked at me and screamed, Tell her it's full!"
Oh my God.
But by that point, She had opened the bin and discovered that it was, in reality, not full. He screamed, "You were supposed to tell her it's full!"
Oh my God.
Everyone in the vicinity was looking at me, so I shrugged and said, "You can't call dibs." The man was furious. I ruined his whole flight. He had to find bin space at the back of the cabin, and since he didn't have a seat in front of him, that meant he had to wait for the entire flight to be empty to get his bag. I made accidental eye contact with him a few times while waiting in line for the bathroom and could tell he was not letting anything go. After the flight, I was waiting at the baggage carousel with my boss and telling him the bin story. Well, the guy happened to walk by at that moment and yelled something at me. I told my boss, I think he called me the dibs guy. He turned around and said, "No, I called you the dibs dick." So Reddit, am I the dibs guy or the dibs dick? AITA.
Oh my gosh. What
I-
a psycho.
I love this. This
This
is one of
guy-
my favorite
I can't believe this
situations
is
we've
real.
ever covered.
Wait,
Oh,
it's
goodness.
just so wild because it's like, no matter what the guy said, the woman could still open up the bin if she wanted to or not.
He
It's
has
not like
no
he
control.
had the passcode to
Right.
the thing to allow her to open up the bin. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. And you're making that big a deal of that it's full, it's full, it's full. I'd be like, no, it's clearly not. You're fucking full of it
Can
because
we
you're
get
making
him off
such a
the
big
flight?
deal about
Okay, but I have
it.
I don't understand what his situation is. Why didn't he just put his bag in
Because
there?
he needed to get his stuff out of it, like his book and his back, his
And then
neck
as he's
pillow
getting
and
his shit
stuff.
out, the line fills up and he can't get back to the bin. And that's when this
What?
lady
So
has
this
claimed
guy's
it.
an idiot.
No,
Yeah, his carry-on. It's like, hello, haven't you heard of having a backpack as well?
Or like just take out your stuff there and then put it in the bin so you're save the bin. Like this,
But
this
it's like-
process makes no sense.
put it. You're supposed to. You know, you can have a personal item. Put these things in your personal
Sure.
item.
Or create a sub bag so you can rapidly
That you
remove.
can, and that's what everyone who is a smart flyer does. Is you put all the stuff that you just need for your trip, like your
What
clothes,
the
your
hell?
underwear, your toiletries that you don't need for the flight, in the bins. Then you have a backpack or a purse that has the shit that you need for the flight.
I cannot imagine that this gentleman handles anything in his life appropriately. Like
He's
how
delegated this responsibility to someone. It's like that's not their
and this,
problem,
this
sir.
is the can you watch my stuff for a second thing, right?
Ooh,
I
that's good.
never invoke that social
You never
rule.
do that.
I never
Oh,
do.
really?
I
I'm
always
happy
bring
to
my
watch someone's
No,
stuff.
no. I will watch other people's stuff. I'm fine with doing that, but if I'm like, hey, I am gonna leave here in a second, I can't hang around, I'll communicate that. But I never ask a stranger to do it
Why?
because I don't trust strangers.
Oh.
It's like I don't know what they're gonna. It's not their responsibility, first of all, which brings us to this point.
and also like if a robber comes up, like, are you ready to like take on
Yeah.
this like responsibility of beating them up to save your
Well, I
their
would just give
laptop?
a thief my laptop.
Here's how
I'm
I
not,
see
if
the-
they pull a knife on me, I'm
I-
not fighting for it.
I guess I just see it playing out kind of like, hey, ma'am, would you mind watching my stuff? And then I go to the bathroom and then some guy goes to take it and she's like, hey,
Wait,
is that
that's-
yours?
yeah.
And just that moment is enough for the person to go, oh, no, my bad. Like they're getting called out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see this going to a place of enforcement. And I
Yeah.
actually believe I read a study, someone might fact check this, but that this is a good thing to do. Like it does actually help a little bit. I don't know how they did the study, but
Oh.
They
Oh, I'm
studied-
sure it does.
right, it helps a little. Obviously it's not the same as
Yeah,
having
and
a-
I definitely, well, actually, a lot of times I just pack up my stuff with me to go to the bathroom. So I
Yeah.
don't have to do that because I get a little bit of social anxiety.
Yeah, it's scary.
I just think it's such a foolish game to expect other people to like execute your machinations for you.
You can't just
And-
make up a rule and then be like, enforce the rule I made up.
I do love OP here immediately. Like the crazy man does not use the word dibs at any point. He does not say I have dibs. OP correctly identifies you're trying to call dibs in a
Right.
public space.
OP is a bit of a wordsmith. I also like the term false bin.
The false bin, yeah.
It's not your bin. It's a false bin, damn it.
It's a trap you set up. Oh man, I
False
wish
bid.
my one.
I was like, is that a term? I was like, I'd never heard of a false bid.
No.
My
Did you
one
Google it?
ding on this
No.
situation is that I wasn't on this plane
Oh,
to
God.
cackle through this entire thing. I would have been razzing this crazy man so fucking
Oh,
hard
yeah.
about this. And just
Yeah.
like, did your wild fucking plan not work? You dummy. Hey, can we get some champagne for the dumbest person to ever fly this airplane? Oh my
I hope he
God.
never agreed either. I actually was going to try to catch him on that, but the
Oh,
guy was like, "Tell
true.
people this one's full," and the guy shrugs. Like, he never
Shrugs.
agreed to do
Yeah.
this ridiculous
Yeah.
thing.
Weirdest plan. How often are you pulling this kind of thing, and how often does it work?
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of when I was ready to commandeer a table at a ski resort just because they only left the stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I have slightly more of a case.
I
Well,
don't
because I'm for
know.
you can't just leave your stuff somewhere. You got
I
to
don't
physically be
know.
there.
I think at restaurants,
No.
lodges, that kind of thing.
no, restaurants is different. Restaurants is
Because then you're gonna have. Here's the thing: you're gonna have to pick up their stuff and move it, and now you're into some.
What if you don't though?
But yeah, you're touching.
You just
it.
sit down
You just sit
at-
Well, yeah. What if
down.
they didn't cover the whole table and you just sit down and you're like, well, no one was here. Like, make me leave.
I
Oh,
thought,
come on.
Yeah,
I
you're
kinda
playing
want
a
to.
dangerous game on that one now.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I
the Danny
know.
Dick. In
Yeah,
that
I didn't do it. I just
situation.
thought about
Danny
it.
Dibs.
Danny Dibs. I was here. My body's here. Your body wasn't here. AITA for not honoring dibs. I think we're giving you a special award. The one of the funniest situations.
Yeah,
I think you nailed this. You said this is like a Tim Robbins character. I
It
think
re-
you should leave.
Oh,
It really
yeah.
is. Like I can see Tim Robinson doing the shouting,
perfect.
especially of like, tell her it is full. You were supposed to tell her it's full.
It's just It's just drawing.
call dibs on the bin.
It's just drawing so much more attention to it.
That's the funniest part of this to me
Yeah.
is this guy screaming in a loaded plane.
And watching like a hawk too. Like,
I see. She's doing it. She's doing it. Stop her.
do something.
It's kind of like when there's like a sign that says like "Don't press this button" or something like that. It's like, okay, clearly I wait. That's a weird example.
You out here pressing don't press button, Shannon?
Don't press that button, Shannon.
Shannon's an absolute
We know
menace
what-
on airplanes.
we know what's
Shoes off, just
Right.
opening up the emergency door. That
feel like-
sign can't stop me.
At the next live show, she's going to be like, yeah, I was at the Los Alamos Nuclear Laboratory and, I saw a little button that said, don't press it.
Sometimes you just have to fuck around and find
Yeah.
out.
And that's how Fukushima happened. Oopers. AITA for not honoring dibs. I think we agree it's NTA, and this guy
NTA.
is.
I do
Yeah.
want to meet Dibs guy. I want him on a plane of mine at some point, as long as he doesn't get the flight turned around.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Join us on YouTube. Join us on Instagram. Here we go. We're going to wrap things up on AITA for always getting a separate bill at a restaurant. I've been part of the same group since secondary school, and now in our early 30s, we still meet up regularly. I'm the only one who doesn't drink, and I also have some food restrictions. That means that my meal is always the cheapest one, and I very rarely share a plate with others, even if everyone else is eating sharing style. So for years, I've always had a separate bill, and then the group evenly splits the remainder. It was suggested by a friend years ago, and nobody has ever made an issue. One friend recently brought her new BF, Aaron, to the meal to introduce him to the group. We have a tendency to over-order, so I didn't think it was weird that he has a few drinks and ordered more than one dish. When the bill came and my part was separated out, Aaron started getting annoyed and told me to stop being a cheapskate and pay my share, like everyone else. I tried to explain, but he just dug his heels in and got yelly and called me tight-fisted and selfish. I got flustered and paid my bill and left. AITA for taking a separate bill even a decade later. Should I not be doing that?
I fully understand this anxiety. I don't even have. I do have drinks, and I don't really have any eating restrictions. I strongly prefer to just pay separately. It makes the whole meal so much easier. I'm obviously not a stickler about it. I'm not even going to object if that's how everybody else wants to handle it. But I just so thoroughly prefer but I can't imagine how strongly I would feel about that if I'm ordering less food than everybody else and I'm not contributing to the alcohol bill, because the alcohol bill is what kills you every time.
Yeah.
I love to buy a meal for friends,
Sure.
but it's very, very hard for me to buy the booze, it just doubles the price. And I'm like,
Yeah.
not me paying for you to be more of an asshole.
$17 after
Totally.
tip and a reasonable
It's
like
crazy,
yeah.
you know?
It's one thing if you get like a little bit of a cheaper salad or something, and then everyone else is getting whatever. Let's just all split it down the middle. But like, yeah, with the alcohol, like if I'm not drinking,
It can easily double the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
and so ever since I stopped drinking 2 years ago, like whenever I go out to eat with my friends, usually one of us just puts it all on our card, and then we kind of just like figure it out that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're always so conscious of like making sure I'm not like paying for their alcohol, which I am super appreciative of that.
I think so. I think this is like, there's times when you don't want to like slow down the interaction. So
Mhm.
I would say that could be a little bit annoying. I wouldn't be
Mm.
necessarily assholeish because, money's real. If you're like, guys, we need to figure this out right now.
Right.
I think
That's a bad
it's always
energy.
generous for someone to just be like, look, I'll take it right now and we'll figure it out later. And if you have the sort of credit limit to do that kind of thing, I think that's a good kindness thing to do
Yeah.
and then figure it out later. But like to just slam the, unfair split even bill at people and then crucify them for being tight fisted. It's like,
No,
that's their money.
So you just want them to pay for your stuff.
And I was going to bring this up. Like, this is probably my harshest immediate read on a second person in a situation. Aaron's a little dog shit mooch gremlin. I really don't like Aaron.
He just has these phrases armed.
I think I thought of that that's what popped
What
into
is
my
he, a
head.
mooch
A
gremlin?
dog shit mooch
dog
gremlin.
shit mooch gremlin.
And because if you're coming in, like I do enjoy, if I try to avoid eating out when I can, especially going to a restaurant and sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
It's a wonderful experience. And I always, if I'm in the mood for it, I'll go whole hog. But usually especially if I'm in a group and I'm kind of leading the charge on getting more stuff,
Yeah.
I'll pick up as much of the bill as I can. I'll pick up other people's drinks. I try to I'm aware I'm the one kind of going bacchanal on everybody here. So I try to take the bill off other people's
Wait, what do you
plates.
mean by bacchanal? Because I associate that with the Caesar's Palace Bacchanal buffet.
Well, bacchanal is like I know that it's a thing from Rome of
Decadence.
eating, decadence and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I don't know the exact. I'm just freely using a word. But yeah, I think Aaron sucks hard, and I think that you're doing a
Yeah.
perfectly reasonable thing.
And just to come into a friend group that already has this function laid out,
Yeah.
and to just come in and be like, no,
Yeah.
this is the way we're going to do it now that I'm a part of the group. And honestly, super embarrassing for the friend whose boyfriend this is.
And I think cheap. I think calling somebody cheap too is like
That's
them's
mean.
fighting words.
Yeah.
People,
that's a
people,
shot fired.
people act like that's just like a minor criticism. That's a
No,
pretty heavy
yeah,
fucking
that's-
criticism.
that's-
I'm proud of how cheap I am because I like value. But let me tell you,
I'm frugal.
there's one thing I do spend the money on. Motel 6 Premium. Don't look at me, you standard room
He
dirty
likes the
horse.
decorations.
He's a preem queen baby, everybody.
There's a painting of a horse on the wall, damn it. Cost $7 extra. I did really love this comment. A good old tale from Billy from Philly. That's fun.
Oh, love that name. Good for you getting that. You got that
Jake is
one.
going to send a card to your house for your username. NTA, 20 years ago, my wife and I had dinner with a coworker and her husband. We had Cokes while they had so much alcohol that the alcohol portion was almost double the meal. They then put up half the bill and looked at us expecting an argument. We simply paid and never went to dinner with them again. In fact, the coworker asked my wife a few months later when we would have another dinner together, to which my wife responded with, "You mean so you guys could drink for half price?" The friendship ended soon after.
That's a fair shot.
This is like exploiting a convention, because usually too, if it's like a couple bucks, whatever,
Yeah, who
Shannon gets the
cares?
grilled chicken salad and I got the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
It's like, let it go. It's $2.
Totally.
But when it starts to add up, it's like you're being a dick.
There's an element to this, obviously I'm not going to use the word sociopathic, but there is like a Seinfeldian level of sociopathic behavior here where you're fully aware, you said it, you're exploiting a social norm, you're exploiting it, you're fully aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't buy you don't know what you're doing. I think you think you're hustling everybody, and it's very apparent what you're doing, which makes it so much worse
Right.
for everybody else, because it's like, do you think you're smart right now? This fucking sucks.
Listen to this story.
Oh no.
So my mom's friends invited them and all their big group of friends out to dinner for the one woman, Jackie's sister's birthday. And so, they're eating, they're all drinking, et cetera. And then at the end of the night, Jackie was going around to get people's cards to pay or something like that. And then the one other woman, and maybe it was like the other sister or something like that, was like, oh, like, here's my card. And she's like, oh, no, you're with the group. Like, I forget the wording she said, but like, oh, no, you're good. And then Jackie made everyone else that wasn't like related pay. So my parents had to pay, and like 5 other of their group, their couple friends had to pay, but like the sister whose birthday it was, and Jackie and her husband and the other sister, they were, all of them didn't pay. And it was just like
the birthday person's the only person left off
exactly.
Ooh, I don't understand, but who was paying?
My mom and like 5 other of the friend group.
Oh, your mom paid for other people?
Couples, yeah, and like the
Oh.
family.
What kind of scam is that?
I know, and my parents were like, "What the fuck?"
And they did it?
Yeah, I mean, they were
Let's
like,
go out with your parents. Apparently, they seem easy to
Well,
do.
they didn't pay for the whole thing. The other couples did too.
Well, yeah, but so you're
But
saying
it's
there's
still-
like 10 people, but 5 people paid for it.
yeah,
That's
something
insane.
Like that.
I think your
know.
parents would have been
and they
well
did not tell them that was what was going to happen.
right, and I think they would have been well within their rights to shout, "Suck a dick, dumb shits," and then just run. I think that would have been
Yeah.
perfectly acceptable behavior
I would
in that
not
situation.
do that. I'd be like, I will pay for the things that I ordered,
How
and you guys
insane
can
is
deal
that?
with
And
the
she's
rest.
like, "Oh no, you're not included. You don't have to pay." What?
You gotta
She
spell
was a moocher, major.
to spell
moocher.
something like that out beforehand. I guess I could be down. I would probably just say
I
no
wouldn't go to
going.
dinner.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
we
go to
gotta
dinner.
get these mooch gremlins and just take them to task. I challenge everybody listening to this, like, do not abide mooch gremlinry.
Don't. Yeah, especially like with drinking and all that.
Oh,
Not
not-
cute.
I'm also just like a little shook. Like, I don't know. I've seen this from like entitled, wealthy people, but like, God, if I have a friend who's hard up, like, of course, I'm happy to pick up their goddamn bill. Like, to me, money is real. Just, it always comes back to that. If I'm with friends and we're all comfortable, then like, let's be fair about it. But like, if you're fine and you have a steady job, like, just be kind for God's sake.
And that is
Be
that
the
is such a-
opposite of a mooch gremlin.
It's such a cool thing to do, and one of my favorite feelings in the world in terms of just like feeling good for doing a good thing is when you just hand your card discreetly to the server before the meal's even
Yeah,
over,
yes.
and then everybody realizes like, did you just take care of that? And it's just, don't
It's
worry.
an awesome feeling.
That's great, but when you force other people to do that for you, I would get it. If I saw this happening at another table, I might get involved.
Or I get
I
penny-pinchy.
could get pretty fired up if I saw somebody pull this and overheard what was
You
happening.
try to push me into some shit, and that's when I'll get like, oh, let's account then. I'm gonna pull up a Google sheet.
Yeah.
Here's a little tip that I'll do. Not alcohol so much, but say like I'm with a group and I know we're gonna be like splitting it 5 ways, and I order something, but then I notice they're ordering like appetizers. They're ordering like a lot more, and their meals are a lot more than me. I'm always like, well, hell, I'm gonna order a little bit more too, because if I'm gonna be paying for like their portion, like I might as well be getting like an extra side dish too with it.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I've noticed that if you start to do ordering for the table, you better be ready to pick that up because
yeah.
the cowards will jump off the ship. You said you were getting the bruschetta with me, you son of a gun. Oh, I never said I wanted it. It's like you just got to pick up whatever app you ordered,
I
Yeah.
I have been on record before that I don't like to eat dessert at restaurants, and I kind of like in my brain, I kind of classify getting the dessert that I'm not a part of as the same tier as drinking, because desserts are always upcharged.
You like desserts,
I'm fine with
but you want to go
I
to
don't-
a separate location.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I don't have a crazy sweet tooth. I'm more
Okay.
prone to getting desserts at a separate location because it's always cheaper.
It's more fun too.
It's more fun.
And you walk off your meal a little
yeah,
bit.
restaurant desserts are
Yeah.
usually overrated and
$12
always
minimum.
overpriced.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So I do kind of feel that way if I'm at a group bill and people get desserts and it's like, oh, I'm chipping in for the fucking empty calories and the fucking like brownie and ice
That's why you
cream that you
just
paid
gotta eat it.
$22 with. Yeah.
I'm ready to lay down a principle here.
Let's hear it.
You should never, thank you, Shannon. You should never, I've never seen someone knee slap to affirm the seriousness of something, but it flew. you should never ding someone or get angry with them for demanding fairness. I think we
Yeah.
all deserve fairness. You know, I think there's a way to be annoying about it. If it's
Sure.
like 12 people and you're like, let's account for this right now. But
Right.
like generally,
or if you're nickeling and diming and stuff.
well, no, I mean, if they want to be fair, they want to be fair. You know, there's like extreme coupon. There's people who budget to the dollar. And you know what? Like, to me, I would never want to do that because that means I have to be so preoccupied with money. I'm constantly worrying about it. But like, money is real. Some people don't have the luxury of being able to throw out $5. You know,
That's why the best move is somebody puts it all on their card and then they send out Venmo
Account later.
requests.
And
because it's just like more like it's not the whole like hubbabaloo or whatever at the end.
Up a baloo. I like that.
Speaking of throwing out $5, I did want to say that I recently updated our free bonus pack. This is something I have given out to anyone who can't afford $5 a month for the Patreon but wants more bonus episodes. So you can reach out to me, Danny Vegagram, or reach out to Shannon on our podcast Instagram. We'll give you 20 free bonus apps, 10 Sarahs and 10 shakes, baby.
And you'll get a little taste of what's going on in the Patreon.
The boneyard. And
The boneyard.
We're
right,
coming
it's
for
getting
your
weird.
soul, Aaron. All mooch gremlins come to die in the boneyard. Now it's weird. We went all the way there.
As long as there's no singing. AITA for always getting a separate bill at a restaurant. How did I become the annoying substitute teacher of this podcast? AITA for always getting a separate bill at a restaurant. I think we agree wholeheartedly. It's NTA, and this dude was.
Yeah, NTA.
NTA.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, 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 bye. Bye. That's for everybody who's trying to go to sleep.
Jake. Go have a nice little sleep. Good night. Good night.
See you in your dreams,
No,
suckers.
Jake, let them sleep in peace. Let them sleep in peace, you son of a gun.